So apparently in recent days, Manchester United have submitted a second improved offer for Bryan Mbeumo, and the feeling now is that this transfer feels very, very close. The question is, why are Manchester United even doing this? Why do we even want this player? We already have wingers at our football club. We have Marcus Rashford, we have Garnacho, we have Sancho, we have Antony. Why do we want Bryan Mbeumo? What does he bring that's different? Now, for the purpose of this video, I think it makes the most sense to sort of compare Mbeumo to Garnacho. And the reason I'm choosing Garnacho is because he was the player that Amorim used the most in the wing position last season. He's the one that he's worked with the most and is choosing to replace. Now, typically, I don't like to do direct player comparisons because all humans are, of course, different. But for today, we are going to look at certain similarities and also differences in their game. And the first thing I want to focus on is the change in strength that we will get in wide positions if Mbeumo moves to the club. Garnacho is not a big, strong, physical guy. He's not really got a big upper body. He can't really hold off opposition defenders, particularly in a league as physical as the Premier League. However, Mbeumo is quite the opposite. This man is strong as an ox, good upper body, uses his size, his chest, his shoulders really well to hold off the opposition. And he is one of few players in world football that I think can actually be used as a wide target man. Now, what does that actually mean? Because normally when we talk about a target man, we're talking about a 6'7" striker who weighs about 400 stone, and you're going long to him, and you're asking him to battle centre-backs and hold people off. So calling Mbeumo a wide target man feels a little bit odd, because he doesn't actually profile like that. However, he is a really strong player in wide positions. We've got to consider in wide zones, you are often against fullbacks, which typically tend to be a little bit weaker than opposition centre-backs. And this means that Mbeumo can physically dominate these players. So if you can't play out from the back, if you're struggling to play through the press, Mbeumo is a player that you can go long to, and he's actually going to look after the ball under physical contact. And quite simply, that's something that Garnacho couldn't do, Sancho couldn't either, neither could Antony, and not really Marcus Rashford either, even though he was quite a strong player. Mbeumo genuinely could be a wide target man, and we've literally seen him doing it in the Premier League. Now, I do apologise for the quality of this clip. The quality will get better after this clip, I swear. It will get better. But you can see him in this wide position here. You can see the ball up in the air in this position. And what I love about Mbeumo is his focus is where is the ball. He doesn't want to wrestle defenders. He wants to get his eyes on the ball so that he can focus on, firstly, a good first touch. Plucking the ball out of the air with a good first touch. However, also, you need to have the strength to hold off opposition defenders. Now, this isn't the best clip. I want to find a different one, but I simply couldn't remember which match I saw it in. But Mbeumo here is still, he's under physical contact. He's dealing with a high ball in the air and physical contact from a defender. And actually, he's dealing with it very, very comfortably. This is very similar to another right winger in the Premier League. And we're going to see that clip here. The ball comes long from the goalkeeper towards the right wing. Who is the man using his strength? Who is the best wide target man in world football, in my opinion? Mohamed Salah. This guy is an absolute joke. His strength is just insane. The way he holds off defenders is ridiculous. And it's literally a cheat code for trying to play out from pressure, because you can literally boot the ball to the right wing and he's going to make it stick. He's going to look after it. And this has been such a valuable asset for Liverpool over the past few seasons, holding the ball up in these positions, rolling inside and beating people. Manchester United having someone that can do similar in a wide zone will be huge. Now, something else that Mbeumo will bring that is slightly different to what we've currently got is running power. Now, again, yes, Marcus Rashford was a very quick, strong, fast player, so he doesn't necessarily fit this box. But if we're talking Mbeumo compared to Garnacho, compared to Antony, compared to Sancho, his sprint speed is better, but also his endurance running, his ability to keep running, to keep going. You see, Mbeumo's top speed in the Premier League was actually the third highest in the league last season. But what's more impressive than that for me is that he actually completed the fourth highest number of sprints in the Premier League. So he's running at high speed and he's doing it regularly. And that's very important, because what that means is that he is a constant outlet for your team. He's got the pace to stretch in behind the opposition defence, but he's got the stamina and also the mindset, which is important here, to keep doing it. He will keep stretching the opposition. He will keep going in behind into these positions. And what that does is, like I said, it stretches the opposition, it forces them deeper and deeper, or they're going to get caught out. So basically, two things could happen. The ball could come in behind and Mbeumo's going to race onto it and be a massive threat, or the opposition will simply go, he's too dangerous in behind, we can't give him the space, so we have to drop off a little bit deeper, and of course then we get more space in midfield to operate. This is the effect of Mbeumo, and I think there was a brilliant example of this in a game against Chelsea. You can see it here. Mbeumo initially deep doing defensive work. Brentford win the ball back, and the first thing that Mbeumo does is he gets on his bike. Straight away we can see him starting to accelerate. He wants to spin into the channel, and the great thing here is his teammates just know where he's going to be at Brentford. They've had that luxury of playing with him for a few seasons. They know where he's going to be. They know they've just got to chuck that ball into the channel, and Mbeumo is going to run onto it. And you might think he can't physically get to that ball before the goalkeeper. And I tell you what, you'd be exactly right. Robert Sanchez beats Mbeumo to the ball. We've got another situation here. Brentford win the ball back. The first thing they look to do is to get the ball into the right channel. He doesn't even need to look. He knows where his teammate is going to be, so he puts the ball into the position. The ball goes in behind, and once again, Mbeumo is going to race onto it. But again, unfortunately, as the ball is bouncing, it sort of skips away, and Robert Sanchez gets there before him. It's not ideal. We've got another clip as well. Once again, Mbeumo trying to run in behind. So Brentford win the ball back on the edge of their own penalty area. They win the ball in this position. They know where they need to go. It's that right channel. Mbeumo is going to be there. But once again, the ball is overhit and Mbeumo doesn't quite get onto the end of it. Now this might actually just look like a fail comp at the moment because Mbeumo is making runs in behind, but the ball isn't coming, so it's sort of a waste of time. Or so you might think, until it finally works as we move on to the next example. Again, the same game. Brentford win the ball back, the midfielder looks to carry, and we can see Mbeumo in a high starting position. Once again, he's running in behind the opposition defence. The ball is going to come into that area. We know it is. Brentford always rely on this ball. Also, by the way, look at the number of Chelsea players compared to Brentford players. It's sort of ridiculous. This is the transitioning threat that he possesses. As this ball comes in behind, this time it's right. This time the ball is good, and Mbeumo gets there. He gets there ahead of the defender. He takes a big touch forward before then bursting into the final third and putting the ball into the back of the net. And the reason why this is so important, the reason why I showed you the failed examples first, was to show how relentless he is, the mindset he has. He might make 4, 5, 6 runs and not get the ball, but he doesn't stop running. And because of the threat that he possesses, there's a very simple game here. The opposition defence has to get it right every single time. They have to be spot on defensively to stop his threat in behind. For Mbeumo and his new team, they just have to get it right once and he can put the ball in the net. Now, of course, the important thing there was that once the pass was finally right, when Brentford finally got the execution right, Mbeumo was able to take advantage. He was able to put the ball into the back of the net. And, you know, that's something that he did a lot last season. He scored 20 goals in the Premier League, which is way more than any other Manchester United winger got in domestic competition, whether that was at United or out on loan. Mbeumo outperformed all of them in terms of his goal output. And I think statistically he just looks very impressive. For example, he actually had a very similar number of shots to Garnacho in the league last season. He also took roughly the same amount of time for each shot, averaging 3.1 seconds before shooting at goal. By the way, a link to this in the description because it's a really cool website that you can look at. But the important thing here isn't the amount of shots or how long he took to shoot, it's the conversion. So the previous numbers were very similar to Garnacho, but the conversion is night and day. Mbeumo is simply a much better finisher in the final third. Look at his shot placement. He is finding the bottom corners, areas where the goalkeeper physically cannot reach, compared to Garnacho, who wasn't able to find those corners as regularly. Mbeumo, quite simply, is better at shooting than the players we've currently got at United, so that makes him more efficient. Now finally, for me, the big difference we get if we sign Mbeumo and bring him into the club is the defensive output. And I think particularly compared to Marcus Rashford, for example, we are going to see an upgrade. Although initially, at first glance, the stats don't look that impressive. Mbeumo doesn't actually complete that many tackles in a 90-minute match, which suggests that perhaps he's not doing that much defensively. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Mbeumo is a very good defensive player, and the reason for that is because of his intelligence. He doesn't always have to make a tackle because he is positioned so well. A lot of pressing, high pressing work, isn't just done to overturn the ball in the final third, it's actually just to stop the opposition progressing, and there is a difference. For Mbeumo, what we will often see is a player who is cutting off passing lanes rather than sprinting after people and trying to tackle him. But the importance is the intelligence and also the intensity. For me, this is a player that can do a job of marking two people. So for example, let's say the opposition centre-back has the ball. I think Mbeumo is the sort of footballer who can initially be close enough to stop the pass into midfield, sort of shadow pressing this player behind him, but the second that ball goes a little bit wider, like this, Mbeumo has the intensity, the power and the desire, importantly, to get over and close the player down. And this is really, really useful in modern football, because whilst we do see a lot of man-to-man pressing, it's still risky, right? Because if you lose your man-to-man battle, you're in trouble in behind. When you've got a player like Mbeumo who can cover 2 positions, that means you can actually still have a spare defender at the back, which is something that Ruben Amorim likes to do. And there's so many good examples of this, but the best one was probably this match against Manchester City. You can see initially Mbeumo central defensively, in a central position, sort of just helping his team to maintain basic compactness. However, as the ball moves a little bit wider, he sees it. He sees that the ball is going to Gvardiol, the left back, in this situation. And what Mbeumo does is he straight away starts accelerating towards that position. But he also is just going to have a little check out the corner of his eye to make sure that he is backed up by his teammates. When he sees that he is, he chooses to be aggressive. He goes racing over towards the ball. But importantly, he slows down at the last second. That's really, really important. If you go sprinting at a player, it's very easy for the opposition to use your momentum against you and sort of just dance past you. So what Mbeumo does is he races over and then slows down at the last second to make himself big and delay the opposition. And over time, defenders, when they get sort of stuck with the ball in this position, they don't know what to do. They don't have an obvious pass on, so they sort of panic and can often give the ball away, and Mbeumo intercepts very effectively. We've got another situation here. Again, Mbeumo initially in the middle of the pitch, and his man here is arguably Kevin De Bruyne. That's the player that he's picking up. However, once again, as the ball goes a little bit wider and Mbeumo starts to make his move, he has a quick check to make sure that his teammates are in the right position also, because he doesn't want to press if he's just going to get played around. This is intelligent defending. He then decides to go full throttle towards the player. However, he curves his run, making sure that he is always shadow pressing Kevin De Bruyne. So not only is he doing the hard yards here to press Gvardiol on the ball, but he's also cutting a passing lane at the same time. Eventually, he gets close enough to stop Gvardiol playing out from the back, and once again, he intercepts the pass. It's really, really good pressing work, but what's also great is the desire to go the other way. And also the intelligence. You can see Mbeumo in a really deep position here, and the ball is actually on the far side. This is almost the stereotypical position for a winger to switch off, because they're attack-minded players. So he's tracked back, he's got himself into a defensive situation. So many wingers here kind of go, yep, I'm in position, that's all I really need to do, job done. But not Mbeumo. Mbeumo is switched on. He is looking around to see where players are, and he just has a look out the corner of his eye and sees Kevin De Bruyne in his peripheral. This is obviously a problem. De Bruyne is the spare man at the back post, and again, most wingers probably just wouldn't care because they're already in their set position. But Mbeumo notices him and chooses to go with him, and it's really important that he does so. He drops back into this position and wins the header for his team. So whilst the stats may not be amazing at first glance, when you actually watch him play, there's an intensity and an intelligence. So basically, to sum it up, the reason why Manchester United, and I assume Ruben Amorim, want Bryan Mbeumo at his football club is because he is stronger, he is faster, he is more efficient, and he's harder working than what we currently have in the wing positions. Another day we can focus on certain skill sets, certain technical, kind of delicate parts of his game. But in terms of just a raw profile, a foundation, a base level, to be stronger, faster, harder working, and more efficient, it's a great start for a footballer, and immediately it feels like an upgrade. We've also already done a couple of videos on how he can fit at Manchester United and work with different players around him, so make sure to check those out. But I think we can see why United want this player at the football club, and I do think now that the deal will happen. I think it will get done. So yeah, that's all we really needed to talk about, why we're actually getting the deal done. Now we can see why. So that's everything for today, I believe. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, comment as well, subscribe, and also get notifications on so you don't miss future videos. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.